How you doing, guys? This is Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. Something that I haven't done a video about in a long time, actually, is silver and gold. This is one of my favorite, actually probably my absolute favorite silver piece. It's fantastic. It's 15 ounce, huge, super high relief 3D skull from MK Bars. There are only 500 of these that were ever made, and I have 4 of them. And it would take silver getting some crazy heights before I would ever sell all of these off. Tied with that one, and my favorite, is the MK Bars Silver Skulls. Again, there was only 500 of these ever made. I only have 2 of these. These are 10 ounces. They're just brilliant. I love these. I love poured silver especially, and I love the pirate type theme. There's some other cool little 1 ounce blocks with the little kind of skulls, almost like the phantom skull ring stamped into that. Fantastic. I've got about 10 of those. They're great. But this video is about the idea that silver or gold is going to be worthless when the shit hits the fan. Part of the problem with this kind of thought process, and I'm going to make a video exclusively on this at some point, is just the basic idea that shit hit the fan is going to be something specific. I mean, when people talk about shit hit the fan, they're usually describing a very specific scenario when they make a statement like that, like, oh, gold and silver is going to be worthless when shit hits the fan. Well, I mean, there's plenty of scenarios where silver and gold is not worthless, so obviously it's not including those. You're sort of self-selecting for it being the thing that you're saying. So, you know, if you're saying, well, then that's not shit hit the fan, if it's not worthless, it's like, okay, well, then what are you really saying? There are situations where gold and silver might not be able to do much for you. But to that, I always say, so what? You know, what does that, should that change what you're doing? I mean, if you can come up with some random scenario, and it usually has to be incredibly crazy scenario to where gold and silver won't be useless or won't be useful, that shouldn't even affect anything. I mean, you could come up with a scenario for almost any of your preps where they wouldn't necessarily be useful, with the exception of maybe food and water. But even then, like, you know, if nothing happens for the next 15, 20 years, most of your stored food is going to be worthless and you would have wasted your money. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And I think in the vast majority of situations, human history has shown there's never been a point in human history that gold and silver were worthless. Sure, there's certain situations where, you know, you're on a lifeboat or something and someone has the last jug of water. They wouldn't give it to you for an ounce of gold or even a whole chest full of gold. But what does that prove? That proves nothing. You know, I mean, that just proves that there's things that you really need to survive, and money isn't necessarily one of them when it comes down to absolute, you know, actual survival. Silver and gold is a method of storing extra wealth. I like to think of it, instead of buying gold and silver, I like to think of it as selling your dollars for real money. And you should store your wealth, or at least a chunk of it. I don't recommend storing all of your wealth, but a big chunk of it in precious metals and real assets. And then if you need to buy something, you can convert it to the currency of the time and go from there. And in a shit hit the fan scenario that's very severe, to where commerce is completely wiped out in the way we know it, at least, you know, like a grid down EMP event or something like that. Yeah, for a while, no one might care about gold and silver, but what else could you put that, like, a significant amount of money in that you know is going to last and you know is going to be worth something at the other side, no matter what happens? And high likelihood is going to be worth something during a collapse too, at least once some semblance of barter and trade gets back up and going. But yeah, gold and silver will not solve every problem you have in a shit hit the fan scenario, and it's dumb to even suggest that anyone's thinking that, because unless you're stupid, that's not the thought process is going into this. You don't buy or trade your dollars for gold and silver because you think that that's all you have to do. No, it's just a way to store your money that's going to keep it safe. It's kept it safe for the entirety of human history, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So it doesn't, having gold and silver doesn't mean you don't have to have food and water. It doesn't mean you don't have to have guns. It doesn't mean you don't have to have, you know, clothing or anything else. It's just once you have all the things that you need to survive, and you want to put your money somewhere that you know it's going to at least maintain some value, potentially increase in value, then real assets is what you should do. And gold and silver perform that function incredibly well because they're durable. They have the longest history of anything used as money and trading elements. And they're resilient, they're divisible, portable, relatively speaking, depending on how much you have. So they just hit all the points that you need for something to function as a currency and a store of wealth. And there's no reason to think that that's going to change in the next 5,000 years either. In fact, specifically with silver, a lot of silver is actually being consumed, used up for technological processes like cell phones and things, electronics, like this camera. Lots of electronics and even clothing and different things like that have small amounts of silver in it in a way that it's not literally being used up. The atoms are still there, but they're being used in a way that is not recoverable in any feasible way, so that the amount of silver that's there on the planet that can actually be used for these things in the future is becoming less and less. So with gold, that's not necessarily the case. Most of the gold that's been mined is still there because it's not, with the exception of a little bit that's gone out on a satellite as part of the foil or whatever, most of the gold that's ever been mined is still there because it's almost exclusively used for things like jewelry, money, art, stuff like that. It's not really used in ways that it's consumed. Very small exceptions, like a piece of gold leaf that they put on the world's most expensive brownie or whatever, but that's a shockingly small amount of gold that they use for those things. So remember, gold and silver, not to take the play. I don't actually have a gold bar here. It's stashed away. So I'll just show you all my awesome silver like this. Also from MK Bars, silver Harambe and these shields. So next time someone tells you that you can't eat gold, tell them you can't eat your axe either. You can't eat your paper money that you have in your wallet right now. You can't eat gasoline. You can't eat your clothing. You can't eat tools. You can't eat all sorts of things that you have for specific purposes. And gold and silver's specific purpose is not to be eaten. But you might be able to get you some food. Right now, people are saying that an ounce of silver, this thing right here, could get you an entire month's worth of food in Venezuela right now. And you don't think that same sort of problems can happen here? In fact, it's very likely to happen here at some point over the next 10 to 50 years or whatever, at least some similar or at least analogous economic problems. And you can confidently know that no matter what they do with the money, whether they inflate it like they are in Venezuela, whether they totally scrub it and start over with a new monetary system, whether they come in with the Amero or whatever craziness they might do, doesn't matter. This will still be worth money. And in fact, in that situation like that, if they ever decided to do either a gold silver-backed currency or to inflate away, in either one of those scenarios, precious metals are going to become vastly, vastly more valuable in terms of the currency, to the point where a large debt that you have, not that you should have debts if possible, but it happens, and a large debt may be able to be wiped out with just a few ounces of silver because its value isn't fixed like the dollar. Your debts are denominated in dollars. So if you owe on your house maybe $100,000 and they start destroying the currency, an ounce of silver may start be worth $1,000 or something crazy. There's no telling what could happen if it starts going the way of Venezuela. So don't want to ramble too much, but that is the way you need to think about this, is that gold and silver has a specific purpose, just like any other tool and just like any other piece of gear or food or whatever, and its specific purpose is to function as a store of value for either storage, transferring to other people, commerce, whatever. And it does that incredibly well, much better than anything else in the history of humanity, at least so far. And while cryptocurrencies and things like that offer very promising abilities to do similar things as well, there's of course the element of technology involved with that. And so while I really am intrigued by cryptocurrency and I don't see any problem with people getting involved in that, if you're getting involved in gold and silver from a perspective of preparing for a shit the fan scenario, cryptocurrency probably isn't going to be as high as on your list because if you don't have power or internet, or in incredibly severe scenarios, cryptocurrency won't necessarily be there on the other side of the event in the way that gold and silver would. So as always, diversify, but that's my thoughts on silver and gold. Let me know what you guys think, and I strongly recommend that you guys pick some up right now. I think these prices are insane, just under $15 an ounce for silver and hovering right around $1,200 an ounce for gold. I mean, other than maybe 10 or 20 bucks on gold, in either direction, I don't think we'll see prices like this again for many, many years, maybe never. And I think no matter what they go to in the next year or two, I think in 10, 15 years from now, you'll look back and just be flabbergasted at the idea that you could get an ounce of silver for $15, or a measly $15. So jump on that. Even just a few bucks a month put away is definitely going to be worth it in the long term. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. If you could, hit the like button, hit the notification bell if you aren't getting these updates when I make a new video. And go ahead and subscribe to my email list if you want to. All sorts of information in my description box about my channel and what I'm up to, so go ahead and read that, and talk to you later.